Well, good evening, everyone, and I'm grateful for the warm weather. January 15th, I want to give my 52-year-old cousin a shout out. Happy birthday, Jason. And I want to, first off, want to thank everyone for being here. And I know a lot of you are integral to the success of our downtown. I see some of the folks that work in not-for-profits here, our business owners, property owners, people are trying to make a living downtown. Thank you for your commitment. And I'm proud to be, have been on a council for 10 years who has shown a commitment to the downtown. And we find ourselves in some challenging times fiscally here in the city, and we're trying to take this head on. And over the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to right the ship, I think. And when I'm finished with council, hopefully we'll leave the next council and future councils with a city that they can be proud of, and taxpayers having some confidence in their rates moving forward. One of the reasons why we need to continue to have property taxes is that we fund a lot of initiatives in our downtown. Certainly not all of them, and we're not the only player that's committed to the downtown, but we've funded some programs and some committees and initiatives considerably over the last several years, and I thought it was time for us to bring everybody into one room and to share some of that with our residents, but as well as you who might not know everything that we have going on. This is not going to be an exhaustive list this evening. We do have several presenters, and I'm grateful for all of them for being here. But this is one of the, and this is not the first step either. We've made a lot of steps, but I'm hoping that we can continue with this kind of shared dialogue we have. Those that are really worried, but also realize the importance of a sustained, economically viable downtown. And so they want to make sure that our downtown remains viable and livable. And we have those that want to, deal with our homeless and addiction crisis. And we're, a microcosm of what's happening in just about every city in North America right now. And we want to be able to enjoy our downtown as well, right? I'm optimistic that we are funding the right programs and initiatives, that together we can fill the gaps in where we're missing. And it takes residents. A lot of the things that citizens and taxpayers and youth and those who are going to be future taxpayers, it takes everyone to be part of that solution, part of the solution-focused ideas that can be born from times like this evening. So I want to get out of the way. And I want to welcome our first speaker, Emmy Sanderson, who is the coordinator for the Brandon Downtown Biz. And the Brandon Downtown Biz, we funded, she's going to talk a little bit about it, but we funded that last year to the tune of $150,000. And Emmy's going to tell us a little bit about what the Downtown Biz has been up to. So please give a round of applause to Emmy Sanderson.
Well, this is really exciting. Thank you everyone for being here. Like Chris said, he left out a small detail. Yes, the city funded us $150,000, but they made me work very, very hard for that. I put on so many miles and walked into so many businesses because we had to get a membership base, and we had to show that people wanted an organization like the Biz. And you did, plus some. And we're doing membership renewals and getting new members. We work on a yearly thing, and we are already over halfway to what we had last year with 1 week in. So thank you everyone here. There's lots of our members here, so thank you. It's great to see everyone. So they very much gave me a little bit of time, so I'll speak quick. So I've got some slides here. Thank you, Marilee. So first of all, I'm going to answer the biggest question I get, which is, what is a biz? So for those of you that don't know, so what is a biz? So a biz is a business improvement zone. That's what that stands for. Other cities call them business improvement, districts. There's like parking improvement districts, there's special improvement districts, there's lots of names for them, but these are organizations that exist in pretty much every city in North America. Winnipeg has 16 BIZs. They have an Osborne Biz, a Transcona Biz, a Downtown Biz, Exchange District. This is a very common, very normal, very proven type of organization. So that's what I do. So it represents kind of the economic interest in a specific geographic region. If a city only has one biz, it's going to be their downtown. So just some little fun facts, a brief overview of the Brandon Downtown Biz. So our troop is made up of myself, one full-time executive director, part-time admin assistant, Sarah, that keeps me sane back there, bless her. We have a board of director, that's 7. We have 7, but we will be renewing our new board, so anyone interested, let me know. And many volunteers. And I cannot say enough about the community members that have reached out to help. The biz would not be where it is today without people who just stepped up, public and very private people that didn't want credit for what they did. So huge support. Last year we had 105 members, and like I said, we're over halfway to that this year, a couple weeks in. Funded through the City of Brandon and membership fees. And that is, BIZs are, there's a lot of different funding models, but this was the way we could get started this year. So while the majority of our members, typically a biz member is going to be a business located in that geographical region, but we expanded that because we want to include an opportunity for everyone to be a voice. So we have residents, we have downtown residents that are part of us. A large number of nonprofits are part of us, which I just love that, you know, we're all working together. And so what we do, we operate under 4 pillars, is what we do. Now, somebody once told me, someone from Winnipeg that works with their biz, they said, your job is to bring the party. And I was like, well, and it turns out that's kind of true. So I get to do a lot of really fun stuff. Now, it's not all fun, and I will say I need to give credit to the 6 people presenting after me, because the hard work they do, I'd say they do all the hard work so I can do the fun stuff. So we focus on 4 separate things. And when I started, so I kind of put these in order of where I spend my time. When we started this a year ago, this order, I imagined it to be completely different. I thought I was going to be fighting and lobbying and advocating, and there is some of that, but way down the list. Like, the cooperation and collaboration and teamwork has been unreal. So I get to do events. I get to do promotion, marketing, because, you know, we have a downtown. It has struggles. We all know the 7 people that are standing here today, and I assume most of you in the audience are so aware of the challenges in our downtown. That is no secret. We are not blind to it. Those are being worked on. There's not one challenge we have that isn't being worked on, which is why we're all here tonight to talk about that. But at the same time, we can't just focus on problems and we can't focus on challenges. It's kind of like a multi-front approach. We also have to work on the good stuff. You know, celebrating what we're doing right, celebrating what's good, celebrating this beautiful historic downtown we have. Like, it's gorgeous, you guys. I just love it. So how do we bring in the good at the same time? Like, we don't have to wait for all the problems to be gone to bring in the good. So that's events, marketing, promotion. As you can tell, I can talk about this for a very long time. So events, marketing, promotion, cleanliness, maintenance, and beautification. That's huge. We want streetlights that work. We want garbage bins that are empty. You know, we want beautiful garden flowers. That makes an appealing place to be. Lobbying and advocacy. Yes, we do this. We do this. We support our members. We speak on behalf. We raise concerns that maybe wouldn't be known. We listen. I listen. My phone rings, and I listen, and we see what we can do and work together. And then last is safety and security. So when I said this order changed, when I started, I thought that might be number 1. I thought, like, oh, what are we going to do about that? The truth is, for my mandate, safety and security is people, right? You feel safe when you're surrounded by people. You feel secure when there's other people on the street. So how do we get more people? How do we get more foot traffic? That's my real focus. And, you know, we have a police force to do their job. You know, we have social agencies to do their job. So anything I do is going to land in one of those 4 pillars. Next slide. Okay, so this I had to pare down. They said, Emmy, tell them what you did in 2024. So I'm like, wow. So I don't expect you to read that whole thing. So we started with that successful membership drive. And what I have to say about that is that was really important, and it was successful because that's what told us there was demand for this, right? When I was going door to door and I met, Bernie Wetter at the Green Spot and, like James at Chez Angela and all you guys, we didn't have a website, we didn't have social media, we had nothing. We had nothing but me and a board saying, will you jump on board and help this, right? And the fact that we got so many people to sign on, and spend their hard-earned money to join the biz and pay a membership fee that we try and keep very low, sent the message that this is wanted, there's support for this. So that's what I work for every day. We became a fully established nonprofit. So anybody knows all the legal stuff, all the banking stuff, a lot of time's put into that. And we are now all like the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and all those things. One of the very first things we did is met with the other downtown stakeholders, so the people you're going to see presenting tonight, plus others, because I don't want to do something that's already being done. I don't want to duplicate efforts. I don't want to compete, right? Where were the gaps? Where were the holes? Where could the biz slide in and fill space that needed to be filled? So, and that changed. We used to have 5 pillars. Now we have 4, and that changed based on those conversations. So we supported downtown events, sanitation, permits, security, a cheerleader, promotion, ideas. Like, I can't host events downtown. I don't have the manpower to do that. It's a ton of work, but I don't need to because so many organizations and, cultural organizations and everybody wants to do that themselves. So how can I support you in doing that? That's the role of the biz that we started last year. Every week we put out a weekly calendar of events. There is so much happening downtown. I thought, I'll go to all these. I got exhausted after like 2 weeks. I was like, oh my gosh, there's too much to do. And people don't know about that. So just trying to celebrate that. Downtown businesses, a summer photo contest that was wildly successful. We planted the fountain, but don't worry, it could be turned back to a fountain, but it wasn't going to be anytime soon. So why not do something beautiful with it in the meantime? Right? How do we beautify the spaces we have? We have now done 37 downtown lunch walks every Tuesday. If you want to walk downtown, show up at Princess Park on Tuesday, in the community that's being grown there. Membership representation at meetings. I do that a lot. I go to a lot of meetings, safety task force, stuff like that, and I bring the voice of business. And often I'm the only person in that room speaking for that group. Right? And so which tells me before the biz, there was nobody speaking for that group, right? Nobody directly interacting with businesses and bringing that voice to the table. So that's a big part of what I do. Where am I on my list? We did a garbage pilot program, communication conduit. So, Ryan will be like, hey, Andy, what do people think about this? And then I can reach out to our membership base, gather feedback, right? And that way, your guys' voice is being heard. It's not about what I want. It's about what our membership wants, our businesses. Being a central resource, I love that. When people call me and, hey, who do I talk to about this? Or how do I find out about this? Or whatever you need, just give us a shout. And if we don't know the answer, I'll know someone that knows the answer. I usually don't have to go too far. So just to give our businesses that resource and support. So if you're a downtown business and you're struggling, or if you have a question, or you're wondering something, now you have a place to go. And that didn't exist before. So that's a role we filled. Listening to concerns and challenges. So when I first started a year ago, I kind of felt a bit like a therapist, a bit like not a punching bag, but, people were frustrated. People were frustrated and hurt, and they felt abandoned, and all sorts of negative things that I'm sure you guys can know about. And so let's talk about it, right? So there was a lot of that, and I tell you that's almost to zero now. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but now that people and our membership base understands that there's proactive efforts happening, it's really helped with that part of it a lot. Kind of just like psychological support. We have subcommittees, so forming subcommittees to research bigger initiatives. I call it the P word, parking. I know, we don't have a subcommittee for that yet, and I'm kind of like, but someday that would be an example of something we would form a subcommittee to really dive into an issue of like parking downtown and what can be done and what's the best choice. Not saying we get to do what we want, but we get to, do some background work. And then honestly, just the overall positive promotion of our downtown. A story I like to tell is when I first kind of brought into this, and because I'm not originally from Brandon, I walked downtown and I'm like, what war zone am I walking into? And then I looked around and I spent some time and I'm like, you guys, this is really nice. Like, this is like these old historic buildings, all these businesses. You know, I came from Vancouver, so I came with a different perspective. And I just thought, wow, like, and so my goal is for everybody to see the downtown how I see it. Because if we all saw it how I see it, we would have no problems. We'd have no issues if you guys loved it as much as I do. So that's my goal. So 2025, I think this is almost my last slide. So what are we doing in 2025? I don't actually like having these conversations because I believe man makes plans or woman makes plans and God laughs. So, you know, take it for what it is. These are the things we're thinking of, right? Some of them, I didn't give you all. So like I said, right now, 2025 membership drive, creating engagement, creating more voices, you know, to be part of this conversation. Continuing everything that worked in 2024. Some things worked, some things didn't. That's how we learn, right? We try it, we learn, it worked, it didn't, it was good, it was bad, let's tweak it, you know? So kind of moving forward with everything that was successful. Space activation, this is a really good example of the collaboration that's going on. I get to meet with the city and social service agencies and we're looking, where are the spaces downtown that we need to bring life to some way, somehow, right? And just create that energy. We want to do the summer market again. We've established, this one I'm excited about, a downtown events grant. We just gave grant funding to Nuit Blanche, which happened on Saturday. And if any of you were there, it was unreal. It was fantastic. So any events being held in the downtown, we now have a funding stream to support those and encourage people to bring their events downtown. I'm probably going to do a photo contest again. It was amazing last year. And for those of you that have seen the calendar that got created out of that, it's just like, I love it. We're working together. This was a neat one. Some members of the skateboard community approached me last fall, and they said, is there anything, like, would the city let us paint the skate park? Like, you know, it's looking a little rundown. And so I said, well, let's have a meeting. So I contacted the Parks Department. We set up a meeting between graffiti artists, skateboard community, the Parks Department, and the Biz. We came up with a whole plan to bring that space back to life. Give it a freshen up and do something with it. Like, I take my kids to that skate park. It is a heavily used space, so let's make it look, you know, alive again. And that's collaboration, that's cooperation, and that's the community that uses it is, you know, is able to design it the way that works for them. This one I'm looking forward to, connecting with other biz organizations. The last year and a bit has been very like, you know, anytime you start something new, it's a little crazy. But, you know, like I said, there's 16 of me in Winnipeg. There's 6 of me in Saskatoon. There's, I don't know how many in Regina, 1 in Moose Jaw, right? So they've been doing this longer than we have. So what worked? What didn't? You know, what can I learn from other organizations doing the same thing? Because like Chris mentioned, we all have the same challenges. We're all dealing with addiction, homelessness, you know, and all that stuff. So what did they do that we can learn from? Subcommittees, events, and again, just continuing to support and celebrate our downtown. Which, based on the amount of people in this room, I think I'm not the only one that feels like our downtown is worth celebrating. So I'm very excited to see that. Thank you. So last slide. Thank you. So I will say, what did I? Oh, so I made notes to myself. So thank you to the audience. So everybody here and at home, so I'm hoping we'll have this on YouTube through WCG TV because there's lots of people that wanted to be here tonight that couldn't make it. So thank you, those people too. And thank you to all the presenters coming after me because like I said, because they do the hard work, I get to do the fun work. So, and it's been really magical. And so thank you guys. So thank you.
I did forget to mention we're doing this in two parts. The first piece is going to be around the economic momentum that we have going in the downtown. And at the end of that first session, we will have an opportunity for some respectful questions for about 10 or 15 minutes, and we'll go into the second part. So now I would like to invite up, is it Emmanuel? Emmanuel Aheniku, who is the coordinator for the Brandon Downtown Development Corporation.
I didn't know Emmy was taller than me. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and before I start, I want to correct something. Emmy made a very big blunder. Emmy, you don't do the fun job, you do the hard job. And the beauty of what you do is about, and for me, as the BDDC director, what I look out for is retention of businesses when they come to downtown. The easy part of the job is to get them to downtown. The tough job is to keep them downtown. And Emmy, with your engagement, with what you do, helps in retaining these businesses downtown. Q4 2023 and last year, for example, we got over 20 businesses downtown. Just one of them shut down, so to speak. And most of them courtesy of the collaboration we have in downtown now. And so I want to commend what you do and your board as well for what you do. So the next slide, please. Okay, so this is one of my mantras, which is downtowns are small neighborhoods that punch above their weight. And that's what we do here in downtown. And that's how I rate myself, basically, in terms of punching above my weight, so to speak. So I will try not to bore you with my slides. I have over 100 slides. Sorry, less than that. So I want to start with a recap of what the BDDC is about. Okay, so we are a not-for-profit organization, an arm's length department of the city of Brandon. So essentially what I do is to support the attraction of businesses to downtown, and of course, retention of these businesses. And beyond that, we also work with other departments, other bodies like the Downtown Biz, for example, the BNRC, but of course the city of Brandon, to keep these businesses successful. And I keep saying it's my job, the easy part is to attract them. The tough job for me is retention, to make sure downtown businesses are successful. So one of the things we do, like I said, is also to support revitalization of the downtown by supporting the upgrade of downtown properties, not just for businesses, residential, not-for-profit properties as well. Supports the upgrade of those properties. Next slide, please. So I've talked about what we do, and what I try to do again, and how my board assesses what I do is in terms of vacancy rates downtown. So we also try to ensure we fill up the spaces. By filling up the spaces, we're also creating jobs downtown. We're making downtown more vibrant. We're filling up this vacant storefront. Like a few years ago, you had like 20, 30 vacant storefronts. You struggle to get like 5 in downtown, so to speak. So a major tool for us is incentive. And you asked me why incentives. I don't want to bore us with too much details. The key, number one, is we try to stimulate investment, stimulate private investment into the downtown. How do we do this? We also try to remove barriers, financial barriers to investment in downtown. We also, by virtue of this business we support, they're also creating jobs for them. So we have, I talked about urban revitalization, I talked about increased tax revenue by upgrade of this, through the upgrade of these properties. The value of those properties go up, the vacant ones are being filled up, and of course we get more taxes for the city to enable them also do other things that are very, very crucial for the city. So we also support enhancing the quality of life in downtown, environmental sustainability, and importantly, we'll try to align what we do with the city plan. We have a city plan, we have the sustainable environmental plan, which we try to align. We have the strategic, the downtown secondary plan, which guides what we do as an organization. So for last year, 2024, we had essentially 3 programs, and the first one was the business improvement program. We had the facade and storefront improvement program. We had the commercial space improvement program, essentially. So beyond these three grants programs, we also try to support other city programs, like, for example, the Downtown Market Housing Incentive Program. We also support the Downtown Graffiti Removal Program, and of course, Downtown Amendment Program that we support. So for last year, we got $350,000 from the city of Brandon. Beyond that, we also went to the federal government and got about $400,000 multi-year funding for 2024, 2025, and 2026. The grant we got from the government of Canada was to help downtown businesses with business improvement projects like marketing, advertising, HR support, legal support, IT services. This program affords businesses to access up to $10,000, which essentially 50% of the cost of the project. So if you're a downtown business, you can access up to $10,000. A lot of these businesses are wild in terms of the impact of marketing. The key thing for downtown is marketing, the promotion, send the right message. When I came here as an immigrant that got to Brandon 4 years ago, the first advice I got was, don't go to downtown. That was the first advice I got as an immigrant. And so, but what I realized was it was about the message, the perception. And of course, we still have the problems here. But the key thing is we're doing a lot of things, collaborating to make sure we address these challenges. So for Commercial Space Improvement Program last year, we supported 39 projects downtown. And this 39 project total funding approved was $350,000, 238.90. So the cost of this project was $1.6 million. So essentially, for every $1 we're giving out, we're getting $4 invested in downtown. So these are some of the businesses that got some of these grants. So under the BIP, the Business Improvement Program, we supported 45 improvement projects, total $151,375.51. For this, for every $1 we invest in downtown, for every $1 we spend, we're getting $2 invested in downtown. So if you notice, we try to be very strategic in terms of our grants. We're not a charity per se. We're also being very strategic in terms of allocation of this grant to make sure that we're creating jobs, we're improving the value of these downtown properties, and we're making life better in downtown. So the third program we had last year was the Facade and Storefront Improvement Program. This program caters for exterior improvements where we can help with exterior upgrades, painting, making it aesthetically pleasing to visitors and to people in downtown here. So last year we had 7 projects that we supported last year with $39,525.30. So total of the cost of this project was $162,301.46. And you have some of the, spotlighting some of the projects that we, next slide, sorry. So this one here was very significant. This is the Brandon Professional Building, which houses the PMI, the Minor Injury Clinic, and also the heart clinic we have in Brandon here, Bushidi's Heart Clinic. So this building, we supported this building significantly, and we're happy to see what we're getting off this building in terms of the first minor injury clinic in Brandon, the heart clinic also we'll have here in downtown as well. So for me, this was one of the high points for 2024. So we also supported other projects. We have the this one here, the Brandon Friendship Center. Look at the upgrade. And this is one thing we'll strive to do in terms of perception. We're looking at improving downtown buildings, the aesthetics, basically. So Community Futures, one of them. We have the Vanish Skin Clinic. This is a new business a new downtown business, so to speak, and creating jobs as well. It's the facelift from what it was last year to what it is now. It's mind-blowing. So, in summary, in 2024, we supported 91 projects, and the cost of this project is $2 million. We gave out almost 541,139.61 thousand. We also were able to secure multi-year funding from Government of Canada. We also supported the Downtown Market Housing Incentive Program. A major high point for last year was the collaboration, which we still have now. Before now, from what I gathered from people who were here before me, the challenge was a lot of people were doing so many wonderful things, but different ways, pulling different ways. But the good thing now, I see the collaboration, I see the shared vision, the shared passion towards making downtown a better place for everybody. We've also gotten some new businesses downtown. Like I said, Q4 2023 and Q4 last year, we got over 20 new businesses downtown. You have some of the testimonials from some of the beneficiaries of our grants. So next slide. Next slide. Next one. Next. Okay, so I just want to go straight to the outlook for 2025. And the outlook for us this year is to want to establish and enhance our relationship with potential investors downtown. We go as far as Avera, we go as far as Ontario sourcing for investors to Brandon downtown. What we try to do again, we also want to work more with developers this year to develop downtown properties, to redevelop some properties downtown, to also take advantage of the market housing incentive program run by the city of Brandon. Yeah, we're also looking to explore development options in downtown here, working collaboratively with the city and other stakeholders to make sure that, yes, we develop these vacant, derelict properties in downtown here. We're also looking to explore other options for revenue as a not-for-profit organization in downtown. So I want to read this word for word. I'm going to read this just to send out how my feeling basically. So we've made considerable strides in our efforts to breathe new life into the heart of our city. We are experiencing momentum not seen in years. However, despite the positive thrust, it's incumbent upon us to ask ourselves, what more can we do to build the core of the second largest city in Manitoba? With the programs and efforts we have undertaken, the collaborations we have built with all downtown Brandon and external stakeholders, we are excited about the future. A downtown that is alive, a downtown that is open for business, a downtown that is safe, and a downtown that truly has something to offer everyone. The board of the BDDC and I strongly believe that our downtown, the visual depiction of our community's heritage, can be the neighborhood in Brandon where businesses move to for the experience and its viability. So with continued effort and focus, we firmly believe we can get there. Thank you.
And just very quickly before we move on, because I know there's several of you here, would some of the BDDC board members who are here, would you please stand up for everyone so they can see you, please? Thank you. So they're not the only ones that sit on committees that are here today, but they pour their hearts and souls into the work that they do monthly for a couple hours during lunch. These individuals are trying to think outside the box, but they are unbelievably passionate about the downtown. And they're doing that out of the goodness of their hearts. So it's very much appreciated, the work that they do month in, month out. I would now like to invite, as I get into the notes here, Ryan Nickel, who is our, what is your new title now, Ryan? Because it's changed a few times. Ryan's the Director of Planning and Building. Ryan's also a guru around planning in the city and has been an amazing supporter of our downtown and a great sounding board for us on council and the BDDC. So what kind of things we can do around planning, around zoning, and he's going to talk a little bit about the work that we've been doing to try and bring some bigger projects to the downtown and how we're trying to clear the way for that, and some of the other things we're doing maybe around vacant buildings and so on. So Ryan, come on up. Thank you very much.
I thought I was going to make it to my kid's basketball game tonight. So if anybody had other plans, you're behind schedule, as are we. But I think we're behind schedule because there's a lot of people who care about the downtown and are willing to put in some time to hear what's going on, and that is great. So I'm the director of planning, and planning is really not that important. People are important, and the ability for us to collaborate and align towards a common vision is important. You can have the best plans that are terrible because we're not aligned as a community to implement them. And I've been at the city for 15 years, and I've been through a lot of misalignment. There's all sorts of reasons for that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I think we found some good alignment recently, and it's about the people that were coming up before me. And I really appreciate the work that Emmy's done representing the interests of the businesses there and making sure the downtown is important. It's on everybody's radar for being unique. And we're providing service that reflects that, that hopefully continues to make our downtown an improved destination for people to visit and to live. So I'm the director of planning, so I have a whole bunch of different items within my portfolio, and they include both social items, community-based items, and economic items. I'm here to speak to the economic momentum side of things, but it's really important that we can't have a vibrant downtown if we're not successful in all areas. So that includes taking care of our residents, everybody downtown, and attracting businesses and people to live. So it has to be everything. So next slide. So I'm not going to talk much about planning because I just said planning wasn't that important, but we do start with a vision of, but it's just about attracting people downtown to work, do business, and live. And part of that is defining what's important and where do we want to attract investment and where some of the big gaps are. Our main gap to bringing investment is the closer we get to our central core area, which is often, that's our historical area, and where we have clusters of different businesses and uses. Some of them are attracting investment, some of them aren't. They're all needed within our community, but certainly we have gaps to investment. We also have some gaps along our main corridors, and in some areas we're seeing some really good successes, in some areas are more challenging. I think if you look downtown Brandon, it's very block specific. You walk one block, people are like, oh, that block's amazing, and the next block's, has some work to do. So it's to acknowledge it's very block specific, and as we continue to look momentum, we have to look at different areas, understand what the gaps are, and the gaps aren't always just handing out money. So the gaps can be different things, and figuring out how we can work with our partners to bridge that gap to see investment occur. So I'm here to present some of the sites where we've made some progress or we've failed, and we're continuing to try to bring investment. Next slide. I'm really excited about this project. This project came after multiple unsuccessful attempts. So if you're in business, and there's lots of people here in business, you know that you probably fail a lot before you succeed. I was part of multiple initiatives exploring options at this site that did not end successfully, and been at it for over 10 years. Recently, a member of the pickleball club came to me and said, hey Ryan, you should meet this other person, Phil Greenwood. He runs pickleball in Regina and Saskatoon. We'd like to see it in Brandon. And I said, how about downtown? We have this long, narrow site. Pickleball courts aren't too deep. Let's see if we can make something work. And this isn't about the efforts of the city. This is about the efforts of a really passionate community group, connecting people together, and then through that, creating community partnerships. So Phil Greenwood, who's the group out there, Wheat City Pickleball, working with Concept Homes, Joel Schultz, around a vision and a passion to do something that other groups weren't not willing, but we're having challenges to see happen, and we're seeing it under construction right now. So with will and alignment, there was a way. There's always gaps, but it's the ability for us to overcome those gaps that make projects happen, and that's why we've seen good progress, and we're hoping to see this 35,000 square foot, 14 court pickleball facility open for our next winter season. Next slide. The Library Arts Building does not look like this right now. So if you visited it, it doesn't look like this, but this is what we're hoping it does look like. There's a lot of ifs here. This could result in another failure, and that's okay, but we're actively trying to leverage the funding from different levels of government to fund hopefully 75 to 80% of this project. We have all those grants in. This is a $21 to $22 million renovation. If you've been in the construction business, things are not cheap, and we need help. We feel like we've put a really good proposal forward, and we're actively working with the art gallery, the library, the Brandon General Museum to make a cultural destination downtown where people will come to visit. We've made the grants. We're hoping to get some responses soon. Regardless, we will be moving forward with some hopefully incremental improvements to entrances to the building. And then regardless if we're successful or not, we will continue to pursue this vision through other means moving forward. Next slide. Market housing. Market housing is a big thing downtown. We want people to live downtown. If you've been to successful downtowns or downtowns that are considered vibrant, there's always lots of people living there. And people of all demographics, all income levels are all living downtown because that's part of making downtown vibrant. We've had successes around the edge of downtown, particularly around the university area and along those main corridors where the market has driven investment, often without any government incentives. And ideally, that's what we want to do, is drive investment without government incentives. But as we get closer to that central core area, there's a larger market gap and some different challenges investors are facing that makes it less desirable for investment. When you have market gaps, we need incentive programs. And that's where we now have our, next slide, market housing incentive program. We were fortunate to get funds through the federal government funded Housing Accelerator Fund. So in total, that fund was about $6.5 million. And it's over 4 payments. That allows us to prioritize market housing downtown and affordable housing citywide. So we know we need affordable housing in all areas of the city, and we really want to focus on market housing downtown, and we know there's a considerable gap. I'm pleased to kind of announce to this group is that we've just entered into our first funding agreement downtown for market housing, and this is on the Princess and 9th Street site. These are 80 new market residential units with a smaller amount of first floor non-residential, about 3,000 square foot. So you're saying, Ryan, are you presenting this? Is this going to happen for sure? And I will say, I don't know. But part of the theme is you have to try and fail and try again and fail again and keep on trying until we achieve a result. We have unsuccessfully tried to leverage developments on this site probably over 10 years, different partnerships, and we keep on trying in different ways. I would encourage this group, we cannot give up. Our downtown is too important. I'm hoping this one sticks. We're further along than we've ever been. The goal here is to get permits shortly in the spring and to see construction underway. The funding agreement included $1 million of federal funding through the Housing Accelerator Fund to help bridge the gap, plus tax breaks from the city. So aggressive incentive packages is what's needed for some of these areas to get economic momentum going. We're hoping that as economic development is created, the market will start to carry investment, and investment packages will have to become a little bit less. But right now, we understand in some areas we have to be aggressive with our incentive packages. Next slide. So I don't know if this is anything to be proud of, but I'm presenting it because it's something that we're doing, and it is something that's necessary, and that is dealing with vacant and derelict buildings downtown. So that's part of our function. Managing our vacant and derelict properties will lead to investment. It might not lead to quick investment, but hopefully longer term, we do see investment on these properties. This is something that we heard through our business community and certainly from our city council, and we're following up with real action. Over the last couple of years, we've actively enforced and the city's coordinated demolition of 2 main vacant and derelict sites. The one was the Esso site on Rosser Avenue, and the most recent one was considered the McFadden building, and that just finished demolition. This is considerable financial risk to the city, but we recognize this is an important part of continuing the economic momentum downtown by dealing with these properties that are public safety issues and take away from that momentum, hoping that these will become usable properties downtown that add add to the vibrancy of what we're trying to create. Next slide. This is a short snapshot of some of the key sites. There's many other sites that we're undergoing conversations. Some of them aren't to be put out as public knowledge, but there's many more having at this time, and I hope when we do these again, I'll have many more to present. It's very hard to get these big projects off the ground. The stars kind of have to align. But we need to continue to keep on trying to align those stars to keep the momentum going. One thing that's really encouraging about my role with the downtown plan and working with the partners such as Emmy and Emmanuel that just presented is I feel we're more aligned than ever. And we spend all our time talking about how do we move forward with solutions. We spend a lot of time with people identifying problems for us. And that's helpful. You need to identify problems to get to solutions, but if you never get to acceptance and problem solving, you're never moving forward with momentum. And I felt in the past we were a little bit stalled out focusing on problem identification, and we didn't get to acceptance and problem solving. And I'm really appreciative of the alignment we have to move forward with problem solving. I know that we're at the start of building momentum, so I'm not naive. Like, this momentum is tenuous at best. But where I'm optimistic is I feel we are pushing in the same direction, and that snowball is starting to move just a little bit. And that's not about us who are just presenting here. This is about everybody. Like, we are all implementing our downtown vision to make our downtown vibrant. And as we start pushing in the same direction, eventually the hope is to get more and more momentum, and we get more and more of these wins that help us move to achieve the downtown we want to achieve for our community. Thank you.
And I think the only people happier than having pickleball come to the downtown, besides the downtown and the pickleballers, is Hobbs Manor. I think they're going to enjoy a little more sleep in the afternoon, maybe with a little less pickleball going on next door. Okay, so I think that is the end of our economic update for now. That's not all that we're doing, clearly, but we want to save time for our next piece. But I do want to open up the floor. We probably have time for a few questions if there are any burning. It can be to myself or any of the presenters, or anybody who would like a question around what we've just spoken about. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and we are gonna get into a little bit of that community update. That's a fair point, though. So I think what I will say is that a lot of these investments in the downtown, whether it's for market housing or for our businesses, is about preserving our tax base, and one of the most important tax bases we have in our community. It's more important than anything that's happening in the Southwest development, I assure you, because you'll make more per square foot in your downtown on your tax return than anywhere else in your community. Building up is better than spreading out. And so as important as our growth is in our Southwest area, we cannot take our eye off our downtown. And so when we can put in, $500,000 and get over $2 million in investment, a 4-to-1 ROI. that's a pretty good investment, and that helps us sustain a tax base there. We have to do a lot more, and I think particularly that area you're talking about has been an ongoing concern. And behind the scenes, we do a lot of work talking with some of those owners about thinking outside the box about what we might be able to do, as well as day-to-day stuff. And I think hopefully Chief Parlow, the current acting city manager, might talk a little bit about some of the work that they've been doing day-to-day to help us keep the safety piece and the community piece going in our downtown. But thank you for that question. Yeah, it's the blue door piece we're talking about, I think, and an important. It's an important. It's important for our community. It's important for our marginalized folks to have a place to go. Might not be the best place for it, and we're not sure if there is a best place for it. So it's really about what we can do around there, and that's why we're having these conversations today. Maybe we'll come up with a cool idea on where a better place for the Blue Door, or maybe it's having a cadet's house across the street from them. I don't know. We're just talking out loud, thinking out loud right now. But thanks for that. No, thank you. Appreciate the question. Anyone else? All right, we're going to move on. There will be time for questions too at the end if you'd like. So we're going to go into part 2, which is the community momentum. And, well, hey, it's the outgoing acting city manager. Not because he hasn't been doing a great job, but I think Fire Chief Parlow is looking forward to going back to his regular job here. But Chief Parlow, coming up. Thank you very much.
I have to lower that. First and foremost, I was coming here this evening, and I wasn't sure how many people would be here and what the involvement of the community would be, but what a good-looking group of people, and with one interest, and that's our downtown, which is our beautiful downtown. So, as Councillor Desjardins said, we have. I've just been informed today that we have a new city manager coming our way, and I'm excited about that. So that's great for our city of Brandon. It's been an honor and privilege to be your acting city manager for the last several months. So the downtown operational team. A little bit of history on this team, and what I've asked Mayor Lee to do is just kind of go through some slides and who our team are in the community and what we're doing and what it's about. So several years ago, there was a downtown task force that was initiated, and it had a lot of things that we needed to do to make a difference in the downtown. One of the areas that it had identified was a downtown operational team that the city of Brandon would have a coordinated effort in addressing and the challenges with regards to the public services that we provide. So 2 years ago, when I was fortunate enough to become the Chief of Emergency Services, I was with the leadership team, and we were going around the room, and it was identified at that time that someone needed to actually, perhaps lead this team and maybe get it together and kind of get it off the ground. And I put up my hand, not because of just the fact that I was just brand new and I wanted a new adventure, but I wanted everybody to know that I grew up in the downtown as a member of Brandon Fire Emergency Services at 637 Princess Avenue. So I know the importance of the downtown of Brandon, and I know how much it means to me and my family. And so I just said yes, like without a doubt. And then I was able to get an amazing team, and they're made up of an individual from a lot of our departments: sanitation, housing and wellness, police, parks and recreation, health and safety, transit, and fire and EMS. The purpose of this team is, our mandate is for the City of Brandon's departments to respond to the unique needs of the downtown in a coordinated effort. As we all know, in years past, there was sometimes something that would happen here, and then we'd put in a ticket, or somebody would make a complaint, or something would happen, and sometimes it would take a little bit of time, and it wouldn't be maybe addressed as quickly as it needs to be, because things do happen. Every single day something will happen, whether it's in the downtown or anywhere. But what we needed to do was, the City of Brandon's downtown is unique. It has a lot of different things going on, a lot of challenges, but it's also has to have a unique set of goals and abilities to react and respond. So what we do is we meet twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We discuss several times what things we're needing to actually look at, whether it's sanitation, which is very much at the forefront, especially during the summer months. Obviously overfilled dumpsters and overfilled garbage cans along our streets does not look beautiful. It does not, and they fill up faster. So it was just a matter of us all sitting down and tackling that issue. Have we figured it out completely? No. But we're continually addressing those issues faster, and we're working with our partners, which is the business owners and the residents that live downtown. But it's that coordinated effort between all of us, because we're all in it together. So we're trying to be addressing those issues quicker, and I believe that everybody is seeing that in our downtown, and if you're not, you call me, and then we'll address it as soon as possible. The biggest change is that we are responding in a coordinated effort. Just like we've talked about here, it doesn't take just one person, it takes a team, just like we all are here tonight. It's a team of people and a community addressing the needs of the downtown and making sure that we're all working together. I believe there's a lot of business owners here right now that kind of were going, why am I getting the chief of emergency services when I'm talking about sanitation? It's not the sanitation component that I just particularly do. It's because Shannon, Corey Wagner from sanitation, Dana McMillan from BPS, and the rest of the team, Bryce Wilson from Parks and Rec. So even the tree trimming, that gets done because it's the beautification of our downtown and unsightly spots. Well, we'll go and look at them, or we'll get comments from yourselves, but what's happened now, it's kind of unique, is that 2 years ago we just started out and everybody's kind of just responding still, but we're being a lot more proactive. In fact, I had to take a moment on Tuesday and just recognize our sanitation team that went out, and it wasn't their responsibility, but they took it upon themselves to take up a lot of garbage that was supposed to be maybe taken from another private agency business, but you know what, they saw that there was a need, they just addressed it. And we're seeing that a lot now. There's not needing to be a ticket put in. The teams are out there right now, and actually sanitation or Parks and Rec or BPS or my firefighter paramedics, we're seeing the issue, and we're just doing it because we're all engaged now with what needs to happen in the downtown, just like you all are. So that's been the change. That's why the team was created. Its sole purpose is a coordinated effort to make sure we address the unique needs of the downtown. So I would just welcome you all, that if you have any concerns or anything that comes up throughout the thing, just give myself a call, or obviously just call the City of Brandon website. But at the same time, you can contact me. I'm extremely excited about this team. It's probably, you would think that I have quite a few things that I'm extremely proud of, but this team is probably at the top of the list because of the work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And we're teamsing each other on weekends to say, all the things that we're doing. And I should probably touch on a few of the things. Along with that is obviously graffiti. We have a graffiti program that Shannon and her team are actually addressing. Yes, there's going to be graffiti, but we're addressing it quickly to make sure that our city and our downtown looks beautiful. Encampments. Last year there was an encampment that probably was a lot larger than anyone really wanted to, but it's also just not closing an encampment or removing an encampment. It's working with our partners to ensure that we're working with the individuals that are there and taking care of them and making sure that they get the needs that they need, and housing, and showing the respect and the care and the love that needs to happen to these people as well. So that's extremely important. And so what we've done this year, because the team is our second year, we're going and talking to those individuals as soon as possible. And because the whole team is on the same page, one or two individuals are setting up an encampment, well, we go and just talk to them. And we just let them know that, you know what, can we find you a place? Can we work with you? And sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes it takes a little bit lot longer, but at the same time, we're addressing those needs. And that is probably one of the biggest challenges that we do have, is in the summer months. But I want you to know that we're all trying our best to make sure that we take care of these people, because just like all of us, they deserve to be loved and cared for just like everybody else, and we don't know what shoes they're walking in. So that's one thing that is paramount for us. So once again, thank you very much for the support, and look forward to any comments that you might have.
Yeah, so if any of you are having problems in the downtown, I'll give you Terry's cell number, and you can just call him directly. All kidding aside, you know, different different speeds getting to things depending on who you're calling. Over the last 10 years, there's nobody quicker at addressing things than Chief Parlow has been, and I can't share. He really does need a big round of applause for the work that he's been doing in the downtown. See, I told you I would say that. Okay. Now I'd like to invite, for those of you who have not met him, our new Chief of Police, Tyler Bates. And before he comes up, I just want to say I had the chance to meet Chief Bates at a conference here that was held by Sergeant Conway for Indigenous youth. And Chief Bates shared a story of when he was stationed in Lynn Lake. And you know, youth were having some significant challenges throughout the night, struggling with their addictions and with, you know, causing havoc. And the solution that they came forward with was to do a overnight youth club that was personed by the RCMP. So they had a constable that was up there with the youth overnight because the youth didn't have anywhere to go. Home wasn't always a safe space, so they created a safe space for these individuals. And when he shared it, I knew we had chosen the right person for this job, because he believed in that, and I believe in those solutions, because kids are looking for connections. Life is relational, and they built relationships with those kids. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Chief Tyler Bates to talk about community safety.
Good evening. I just want to acknowledge here as I get started that we're on Treaty 2 territory, the unceded land of the Dakota and the homeland of the Red River Métis. So I have some information to share with respect to the work that's ongoing in the downtown area by Brandon Police Service and the work that we do with our partners. And the first slide just mentions the topics and the general conversation that I'm going to have with you. Some conversations surrounding community services and engagement, our annual downtown strategy, the work of the cadets, as well as sharing some downtown crime statistics, which will shed some light on the challenges for the city of Brandon and the downtown. And you know, I heard all the passion from the presenters here and the pride, you know, through all of the challenges really comes out in terms of you know, what we want to make the downtown and the vision for the downtown, and I share that. If that downtown space is not one that people feel safe in, then we have all kinds of challenges that we have to deal with, right? So so that is certainly within the lane of Brandon Police Services to make sure that our citizenry can use the downtown spaces and feel safe and able to navigate those spaces with assurance. So, moving into some of the activities of our community services engagement efforts throughout 2024, members of our community services section for the Brandon Police Service initiated and participated in many community events, some of them cultural. I won't go into mentioning all of the events. There's a long list of them, but you know, whether it be participation in a pulling together canoe event or coordinated care meetings with Prairie Mountain Health staff to discuss some of our mutual clients. Because if we're going to get to the root source of the issue, it's important that we have those liaisons and that communication with our partners. Because quite frankly, we're not going to enforce or arrest our way out of the challenges that we have in downtown. We need to work at that at that core level with our community partners to make sure that we can be responsive to homelessness and addictions and some very complex issues surrounding trauma that has impacted a population downtown. And we're hard at work with respect to that, and you'll see a long list of activities that Brandon Police Service has participated in with our partners in an effort to align our service with our partner agencies and to have a multidisciplinary response to the issues at play so that we can impact those root causal factors that are contributing to the challenges in the downtown core. It really is, from my perspective, as far as Brandon Police Services is concerned, about community engagement and police visibility. So we've taken some deliberate efforts in Brandon Police Service to increase our footprint, and we've had to be really creative with respect to increasing our footprint in the downtown spaces. Our cadets are a big part of that. So you'll hear more about that as I get into their efforts and what they've contributed by their presence in the downtown area. But suffice it to say that that police visibility and that continued community engagement piece is going to be pertinent to any successes that we achieve in the downtown core. I will say that with that objective and that goal in mind, I'm planning a public safety strategy meeting for the downtown core here that invites have just gone out for in March. So we're looking to secure a specific date just so that collectively the service care providers in the downtown core can really look at those public safety priorities that we want to focus our efforts on. And not only, agreeing on those efforts, but what individually is our role in terms of impacting those public safety priorities, and what are our collective initiatives going to be? Because if we're talking about one agency solving this issue or having an impact on this issue, we're not going to have an effective strategy in the least, right? And we really need to bring community together, and there's lots of great work that's transpiring within the downtown core and the agencies that are servicing clients downtown. But it's really pertinent that we really look at those initiatives and align our strategy for that maximal impact. So much like the work that's taking place with respect to the hub in Brandon and dealing with some of the complex issues that our offender base is that we're responsive to, we need to be responsive to the social disorder issues and the challenges surrounding homelessness and addiction and have an impact collectively in that domain. So looking forward to that March strategy session and coming up with a public safety strategy that will be impactful and that will be collectively owned. It won't be about one particular agency, but collectively with our partners, we know that we can have an impact and we can continue to make the downtown space one that is safe and one that a downtown that we can all be proud of as far as being Brandonites is concerned. So moving into our annual downtown strategy highlights, enhanced community engagement is paramount. Fostering relationships with local businesses and marginalized communities to better understand their needs and concerns. Increasing our police visibility and deploying members and cadets more strategically to deter criminal activity and provide a sense of safety. So when it comes to each of our visits downtown, our vehicles are geocoded, right? So we have the ability to know where instances of public disorder take place, where crimes take place precisely, and with that data-driven approach, we can deploy our resources accordingly. We know where the hot spots are in the downtown by virtue of where our officers are responding, and that data can direct and dictate future deployments, right? So we're really working to make sure that we have that data-driven approach, that we utilize that geotab technology to track our police presence and to decide where those resources need to be strategically. Because unfortunately, we don't have a cadet on every street corner, we don't have a policeman on every street corner, and that's not viable. But when we know where crime and social disorder is taking place, on a regular, repetitive basis, we know where our resources need to be. So we're really making sure and really planning our resource deployments in such a way that they're responsive to those high needs areas. And that is a proactive use of our resources that we think is going to have some impact and really ensure that we have that police visibility and that footprint that we're striving to achieve. Situating our resources in locations where the call volume dictates is really critical when you have scarce resources, and that's something that we're going to continue to analyze as far as our downtown strategy is concerned. I'll highlight a few stats here. Between May 23rd and September 4th, 2024, our police platoons, so that's our regular members, not our cadets, but our sworn members, recorded a total of 2,490 hours patrolling or responding to calls in the downtown area. So that's a lot of hours. In total, our officers spent 104 days downtown, 7 days longer than last year. Notably, the strategy demonstrated that we had a 100% police presence during this duration, basically indicating that we had officers engaged in the downtown every day of this last year in some capacity. So, certainly, there's a volume of calls and police response that's necessary of our sworn police personnel. In spite of that community engagement and visible presence of our cadets and the work that they have done to bolster our presence and our response downtown, our uniformed sworn members are responding to a high volume of calls in the downtown area. Next slide. Okay, so our community services members in particular are specifically dedicated to that community engagement police visibility piece, and that's the unit that Chief Terry Parlow referred to when he mentioned Dana McCallum and his group. Dana McCallum's team completed 37-foot patrols, 17 bike patrols, and an additional 60 instances where they had community engagement with partners. They also dealt with 29 calls for encampment interactions. So we do see certainly an increase in terms of encampments, and happy to report that we are aligned with our partners in managing that in the most empathetic way possible, where we're looking for solutions and we're looking for housing and dealing with multifaceted needs of the clienteles within those encampments. So we'll continue to work with our partners to that end. And you're correct, Chief Parlow, in saying that this is not just about dismantling encampments. I mean, at the end of the day, if we're not dealing with the dire needs of people within those encampments, then they're just going to pop up somewhere else, and we're going to have the same issue to deal with. So I know, as far as the partnerships that we have and the communication that we have, those relationships are really solid, and Shannon and I already have had many discussions with respect to some of those challenges. So we look forward to that continued dialogue and working collectively to respond in the most compassionate, empathetic way possible with respect to that particular issue. Okay, moving to the next slide. So again, just a restatement of some of the hours, some of the time that has spent in terms of the hours in the downtown area. Even looking at kilometers driven, 15,519 kilometers driven, throughout the downtown area over the course of the year in terms of those vehicle patrols. As far as our presence, 7,688 occurrences where officers were in the area of the downtown for more than 3 minutes. So again, it's not just the footprint of our cadets and that crime prevention, that police visibility, community engagement piece. A large part of the responsibilities and duties of our sworn officers are also spent in the downtown area. In fact, and we'll get into this stat a little bit later, 33% of our calls for Brandon Police Service were downtown specific. So when you're talking about 1/3 of your policing needs stemming from a really small radius in the downtown area, certainly it's a major driver of the work effort of our Brandon Police Service members in terms of responding to issues. I do have some positive news at the end here that I'll reiterate that I think speaks to the progress that we're making. So it's certainly not all doom and gloom, but highlighting some of the challenges I think is important before we get to that. So getting into the cadet realm here, this is a real priority of Brandon Police Service to increase that presence, because it was stated earlier here that if we're going to have an impact, this is a relational piece that needs to take place. Outside of the community and citizens feeling safe coming to the downtown, the population downtown, whether it be the encampments or folks that are frequenting the downtown area, utilizing the services, also need to build a trust and need to have a connection with the Brandon City Police officers. If we're just reactively responding to calls with our uniformed officers, we've lost at the end of the day. We're not going to make any progress with this, and that's where our proactive presence, building relationships with each of the clients that we deal with, and working, not just building relationships, but trust is built when you contribute to the well-being of our citizens. And when we're working with our partners to make sure that where housing is available, somebody has access to it. Where addictions counseling is available, we make that referral. Where somebody needs a referral to the Women's Resource Center because of domestic issues at home, we're holding their hand and we're taking them to that service. That's where the police build credibility, where the police build trust, and where we align with our partners to make sure that we're advocating for the health and well-being of Brandonites and every citizen within that downtown core. Because if again, I said it earlier, we're not going to police our way out of this situation. If we're just going to reactively respond to calls, we're going to need more and more and more police officers. But if we're working with our partners to address those root causal issues that are contributing to homelessness, that are contributing to addictions, we're going to see some victories and we're going to see some successes, and there's going to be lives that are changed as a result of that investment. But it takes a collective effort of all involved, and that's where early in my tenure here, I thought it important to get all the partners around the table and in March coming up here and have a discussion with respect to how we can collectively contribute to the challenges that we're facing. On a positive note, we've gone from 4 cadets in 2023, which was the initiation of our cadet program, to 9 cadets in 2024. So, an increasing footprint. We are looking to expand further with respect to the cadet presence. So for example, we've seen a lot of challenges in the city of Winnipeg relative to transit and safety as it relates to the use of transit. We'd like to see some expansion with the cadet program, riding our buses, and also providing that sense of assurance and security for users of that service. We've seen recently, for example, and it just speaks to the importance of that. We had an assault recently that took place, a very serious assault in proximity to Brandon University, where a woman was robbed and badly injured. And that particular incident was solved by virtue of the camera surveillance on the buses, right? So were it not for that piece of technology, we might still be dealing with an unsolved crime today. So again, I think it speaks to the need to make sure that in consideration of downtown and in consideration of the routes in and out, that we give thought to transit and make sure that in the same vein that people use the downtown and feel they can use that safely, that the spaces in terms of access to the community are safe as well. So we're looking forward to some expansion as far as the cadet concept and their presence within the community, because they have been such a valuable asset. Go to the next slide just to illustrate some of the work they've done. Each cadet, they don't work in a silo, they don't work by themselves. At minimum, there's always 2 cadets that are patrolling together. We found from a uniformed sworn police officer's perspective that it's really freed up our members to focus on priority calls, to focus on their investigations, and it provides that level of support that is so meaningful in terms of the effective use of resources. It enhances our operational efficiency for certain, and makes sure that we can focus on critical situations while the cadets handle various support tasks in that community engagement and police visibility piece. Moving to the next slide, you'll see some of their investments. Over the course of 2024, our cadets spent 792 hours patrolling in a vehicle. That foot patrol presence is incredible. 538 hours patrolling on foot. And I know that I've heard from many of the businesses and many public service agencies as well that how much they appreciate when our cadets walk in the door and say hello and check in on how they're doing. And it just provides a level of assurance and a connectedness with Brandon Police Service that had been missing up until the initiation of this program. So really innovative program that's really had tremendous effect, and we look forward to continuing to grow that program where the needs dictate. Into crime statistics now, I'll just highlight a few, and this is where the positive news comes in that I hinted at. Over the course of the initiation so the bad stat is that this year's strategy, we had 33% of our calls in the downtown. So that's certainly elevated and up from what's been about 30% since we started tracking this. But it's important to note that in terms of calls for services, there's been some changes with respect to what we're responding to. And when we look at the crime stats, what it tells us is that our disorder calls in the downtown have remained relatively stable. We haven't seen any significant improvements with respect to that. We've got the cadet presence there, and it may be just because we're more accessible and more presence that we're not necessarily seeing that reduction. But where we have seen a reduction of almost 30% is in persons calls, right? So when we're talking about persons calls, we're talking about assaults. We're talking about instances where people are threatened. We're talking about those types of more serious crimes, and whether our presence has influenced that such that by virtue of our presence, people are less likely to commit those violent offenses or be involved in persons crimes. I'm not sure. That would be speculation, but we have seen a 30% reduction in our persons calls in 2024 as opposed to 2023, and I think that speaks, at least on some level, to the effectiveness of the strategy that's being deployed in terms of doubling our cadet presence, over doubling it from 4 to 9, and that continuous presence that we have in the downtown. I think it also speaks to the trust that's being established, and I know that our cadets are approached on a regular basis, and they've built relationships with many people in the downtown area, and they're known to be resources that will provide assistance and support, in those times of need. So happy to report that reduction as far as persons calls are concerned, and hope to see some of those ongoing improvements in terms of public safety as we move forward with 2025. And that would be a synopsis of my take on the downtown and some of the initiatives, some of the plans ahead. More to report and more to discuss post-March when we hope to have a collective public safety strategy that has been agreed to by our partner agencies. And we'll all have initiatives that are responsive to that and look to make downtown as safe and as hospitable as possible so that we can continue to be proud of all the good work that's taking place there. So, thank you.
It sounds like many of you will be tapped on the shoulder soon to participate in that public outreach to help develop that downtown safety strategy. Thank you for mentioning that, Chief Bates. We're going to get into the social component. Before we do that, because I'm not sure, she has a lot of roles in our community. I'm shocked when I think the fact that before Shannon Saltarelli came on to the City of Brandon as our housing and wellness coordinator, most of this work was being done on the side of the desk of our economic development, the Director of Economic Development. And when I see the work that Shannon does day in, day out, I just can't believe it took us this long to staff this position. So she might talk a little bit about the Community Wellness Collaborative, but I wouldn't mind, because I know a lot of you are here. Could members from the CWC please stand up so the folks in the audience can see you? Those who are here, don't be shy or I'll point you out. That's just some of the many. You saw John Howard Society here. Thank you, Ross. Nancy McPherson. I saw Rashana here, the BNRC coordinator. We could be here till 10 o'clock if I had invited them to come up and talk about some of the work that they've been doing in support of our downtown, but that's going to be for another night. So I'd like to invite Shannon Saltarelli now to come talk a little bit about our community peace and downtown safety and wellness. Shannon?
Thank you. So we've all been sitting for a long time, so feel free to use this time to stand up and give yourself a bit of a stretch if you want. Don't be shy. It felt good for me to stand up. So we've heard so far a lot tonight about sort of the investments into our downtown from economic perspectives around building, developing, housing, safety, and really at the core of all of these things are people. And so a lot of the work that we do in my department is centered around supporting the people in our downtown, supporting the agencies that are taking care of the people in our downtown. So it's really a privilege of mine to be able to contribute in different ways that are really people-centric. So my name is Shannon. I am the Community Housing and Wellness Coordinator for the City of Brandon. I've been in this role for about 3.5 years, and as Chris mentioned, it was a new role to the city, and very proud to have grown this department from being, off the side of someone's desk, really sort of centered around affordable housing, to taking on a lot of initiatives that are around community wellness and more about housing and different types of housing, and really being a part of our community. It's important to me that we keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in our community, and then we use that information to really help inform and advocate and shape what's going on at the municipality and what our roles are, and working with higher levels of government. So I'm a two-person department now, which is also very exciting. I had the privilege of bringing on another team member last year, and so I have a programmer as well who's not here tonight. But when I talk about we in my department, it is a collective we. If you were looking at the slides in Terry's presentation, the two people that weren't wearing high-vis vests and looking like they were doing a lot of work, that was Amanda and myself. So proud members to be part of the downtown operations team. I'm stalling because I have this really great PowerPoint presentation, and I see that Marilee is kind of struggling with the projector. And I don't have any speaking notes. I only have my PowerPoint. So just give her a second. Thank you, Terry. Yes, words are not normal, something that I'm short of, but I do want to just echo what I do talk about today is not a fulsome report of what the city is doing downtown. I'm going to highlight some of the groups that we have partnerships with, that we are funding or partially funding programming. I don't have an opportunity to talk about all of the great work that's being done by the agencies downtown, or that could be a whole separate session. If you're interested in that session, please let me know. But like Chris alluded to, there's a lot of really amazing work that is being done that I won't be able to get to tonight. Oh, okay. Okay, so no PowerPoint. Oh man, I spent so much time. How do I move it forward? Down? Over. Here. Okay. So what you can't see is this really great slide with a really great quote that's my favorite quote that says, "The standard you walk past is the standard that you accept." And that has been my North Star in a lot of things I've done in life, but it's certainly something I brought to this role and into this position as we talk about why we're really passionate in my department about downtown, because the standard that we walk past and just continue to walk past it and don't address it, that's the standard we're accepting. Whether that's the standard of not maintaining our own city spaces, by not having clean and safe spaces, by just accepting the way that people are being treated in the community. If we walk past and accept a conversation of someone that's rooted in discrimination, or we're walking past an encampment and not going in and making a connection with person. We're just accepting that as a standard, and that's not the standard that we want to uphold at Housing and Wellness. We want to have a standard of really caring about our community, and we really are focused. A lot of our work is just concentrated in the downtown, so we work in the downtown. We don't work out of City Hall. We do work in the McDermott building, so we're right in the heart of downtown, and we love being there. So I'm just going to touch on some of the program delivery that we do in the downtown. So I'm just going to highlight 3 programs. One is the graffiti removal program. So this started as a pilot in 2022, including our own IT department creating an IT online platform for reporting graffiti. Since then, we have done over 185 graffiti removal jobs, and these requests keep increasing year over year. It's a very simplistic program. People can use it right on their phone, upload a photo, and fill out the form online. It's on our website. We either do graffiti removal through a pressure wash or a paint over, and this is work that we do contract outside of city employment. We do have a couple agencies under agreement that do this work for us. So this is a well-used program. We do have the ability to do it all year round if the weather is warm enough in the winter. So please, if you're in the downtown and you are a business or a resident in the downtown, you are invited to use this program. When I say downtown, it's not just the core. So there is a map on the website on this page of where that is, but very roughly it's 1st Street to 18th Street, Pacific to Rosser, with the extension of actually this area down to Victoria, okay? The Fresh Start program, this was also a pilot that started in 2022 with our partnership with the Brandon Neighborhood Renewal Corporation, or the BNRC. This has now turned into a year-round program that started initially something we just did in the summer. This is a program that the Fresh Start program employs people to work in it and build up some skills, perhaps some folks that have trouble with getting employment. Maybe they've come out of incarceration, maybe they have some issues with illiteracy or education, and so they're learning some job skills that they can successfully move on to other types of full-time employment. We love this partnership. You'll see these folks, they're often young people downtown with their wagon, their high-vis vests, their big bins, and they're doing a debris and sharps pickup on foot in the downtown. Not only are they picking up debris, they are also reporting back to us issues that they are seeing. They are handing out those graffiti cards when they see that. They've really become a key member of communication in the downtown and letting us know, like, our eyes and ears out in the community. So in 2024 alone, they had collected and disposed of 19,417 pounds of debris. And remember, that's stuff that they have picked up on foot patrols in the downtown. They picked up 835 sharps and 27 larger items that needed to be picked up by a truck. So it could be a mattress or a couch that's in a back lane. The program is for debris cleanup on public property, so that includes city-owned parking lots, sidewalks, back lanes, and a real focus on the downtown core. The other program I want to highlight is another partnership with our friends at the BNRC, and this is the Downtown Ambassador Program. It's also called Rosser and Around. This program really helps to bring people to the downtown, help to do some programming and marketing in the downtown. It is a summertime program. We have supported that program since 2020. It has fallen under Housing and Wellness since 2022. And last year, we funded approximately 1/3 of their program costs. Some of the other supports that we offer downtown is our annual spring cleanup event. So for 3 years in a row, the Housing and Wellness team has hosted a downtown cleanup event that is open to the public. We've started at Princess Park and have expanded out into the community. The last 2 years, we've had a wonderful privilege to actually partner with some of our nonprofits that have come to us and said, we want to be a part of this event. So that really helped to bolster a lot of energy around it. In 2024, we had our largest turnout of over 88 people who came to volunteer to clean up in the downtown, and many of those members actually come from our relatives and our friends in the downtown community and the vulnerable population, which is just really great to see people working alongside each other. Another initiative that we had last year was our hydration stations. So in 2024, after a lot of research and water testing, we installed 2 pilot hydration stations. So those are like water bottle refill stations hooked up to fire hydrants. This was something that I'd heard a lot of in the community is we need to have a better solution to having access to clean drinking water. And so that's where this research came in, as many other communities do something very similar. So we had 2 pilot stations. One was on the corner of 7th Street and Rosser Avenue, so adjacent to Youth Huddle. The other one was on 11th Street and Princess Avenue. These stations were installed pretty late in the season, so the pilot was very short, but we did see that there was a lot of interest. There was a lot of really good usage, particularly the one on 7th Street. So the pilot's going to continue this year with 2, and they'll go back in the spring this year, and we'll run those for the spring and summer. We will change probably the location of the one that didn't do quite as well, and look forward to seeing how that continues to be really well utilized in our community for 24/7 access to clean drinking water. Sharps enhancement. So the city has had Sharps disposal containers in several of our public parks for a few years. But really, based on the feedback I was hearing from the community, there was a desire to have zero barrier 24/7 access to Sharps disposal. So I did do some good work with community partners and working with those who have lived experience, and just really had a chance to sit down and listen to what they had to say. And several containers were provided into some high traffic areas, and we did install one outdoor zero barrier 24/7 access Sharps disposal kiosk in front of the 7th Street Health Access Center, which has been great because we have this agreement with them that we've been able to provide that, and they will take care of managing the kiosk and disposing of the Sharps. This has been a very successful kiosk. When we put this in, I had many people say to me, it's going to be vandalized, it's going to be destroyed, it's going to be tampered with. We've not had any of those issues. Once again, when you listen to the community and you hear what they have to say and you implement a change that they have asked for, it is very well respected in the community. So this is just another one of those examples of being able to provide something very meaningful to our community. And so we're putting in 3 more. So I'm really excited that in the next couple months we'll be installing 3 more of those kiosks in high traffic locations in partnership with agencies that have been happy to take on the maintenance of those. So very excited. Some of the other various supports, we did initiate the Pacific Avenue Pocket Park, so the little intentional congregation area across from Samaritan House. We installed benches into the downtown after they were removed during COVID. We did create a downtown resource guide. It's on our website, brandon.ca. It is called the Downtown Business Resource Guide. It is a guide for everybody. It has that name because it was a request that came out of the Brandon Chamber, but there's nothing in that that isn't applicable for a resident as well. And the majority of it can be used citywide. It just has a bit of a focus on the downtown. So it's like, who do I call if I see this? How do I report this? How do I report an encampment? What do I do about Sharps? What do I do about overgrown weeds in the back lanes? Different things like that. And then we also advocate interdepartmentally within the city for enhancements as well as service delivery into the downtown. Part of that is being very active participants on the downtown DOT team. I want to talk a little bit about supportive housing. I had some pictures to share, but you'll just have to visualize them in your head. I could have a very long presentation around supportive housing. For the sake of time, I'm just going to really isolate my conversation on 2 locations that are actually outside of the downtown. And the reason I want to talk about that is that it's important that we offer housing solutions throughout Brandon. It's time for us to start divesting supportive and transitional housing out of the downtown and offering it in other areas, because people have needs elsewhere outside of the downtown in Brandon. And as we welcome in market housing downtown, this is not about pushing people out. This is about welcoming people to come in together, while also we are providing supportive housing in other places downtown. Other reasons for that is we've been able to take land that the city owns and make it available for supportive housing. So we do have a property that is being built at 353 on 6th Street North. This is a 24-unit transitional supportive housing being built by the John Howard Society. This project has taken 3 levels of government to all commit tremendous amounts of funding and energy into, and it's really exciting to see that this building is actually being framed right now and being worked on. A lot of work has gone into this, and it's really exciting to see this come into fruition. Another project that we are in the early stages of working on is at 12th Street North. We did also make this property available for supportive transitional housing. We are currently working with a First Nation on being able to move forward with funding this and being able to provide up to 50 units of supportive housing. So I just wanted to highlight that. There's a lot of work that's being done with housing and affordable housing and different types of housing, but I just wanted to highlight how important it is in the housing continuum to make sure that we focus at this time we're at in our community on supportive housing, okay? So the other part of my portfolio outside of housing is wellness. So some of the social wellness supports we have are not actually particularly in the downtown, but there is an overrepresentation of issues in the downtown. For that reason, we have some projects that are going to impact the downtown. So I am the lead for the Sobering Center project. So the location of the Sobering Center is not going to be downtown, but again, this is going to be a safe, trauma-informed, culturally appropriate place for people to go under the IPDA, so Intoxicated Persons Detention Act, which will remove people from having to be held in cells at BPS. When they are under IPDA, it'll also remove having people go to the hospital, right? These are not appropriate places for people to go under intoxication unless those are the absolute appropriate places for people to go. This could also be a referral from an agency like AFM, PMH, Bear Clan, emergency services, etc. So again, not located downtown, but really positive impacts on people that are downtown and for our police who are spending a lot of time downtown under the topic of individuals who need a safe place to go and be sober. I'm the lead on the Community Safety Wellbeing Project. So again, Community Safety Wellbeing Plan is not isolated to the downtown. That being said, it's going to address a lot of the concerns that we have in the downtown. So this plan is really aimed to address root causes to community safety and well-being. These are long-term systemic changes and actionable items. So this is not a plan that's going to address a crisis right now. It's going to address how did we get here? What are the root causes? It's more like upstream approaches for long-term change and sustainability. So this has been a really exciting thing we've been doing in our community. We have a great project team. We have a great steering committee. We've got members that are part of those teams that are here tonight. And really excited to see where this goes. We have just finished our engagement process, and now all of the information and data is being analyzed by the Canadian Centre for Safer Communities, and pretty soon we'll start working on reporting back out what that plan has said and how we're going to move forward. Just some other things, assisting with coordinating a lot of needs in our community. We're strong advocates for the community. We offer letters of support. We do committee work, including the Community Wellness Collaborative that Chris mentioned. And one of the things we really take pride in is really celebrating the successes in our community and meeting with our downtown neighbors. So like I said previously, really keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on. Sometimes success looks like just having a conversation with an agency that's struggling with something. Maybe talking to them about different ways they can approach higher levels of government with funding. Maybe it's writing a letter of support. Maybe it's just having a coffee with somebody. It doesn't always have to be in dollar bills. Support can look and feel really differently in this type of work, and we're always trying to find ways in which we can do that in our community. I also have my contact information on here. So housing and wellness at brandon.ca is probably the easiest one to remember because my last name has about 11 letters in it. Housing and wellness at brandon.ca will reach either Amanda or myself. We're always open for conversation, so please reach out. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shannon, and thank you everybody for sticking around. We have one more speaker. Before I invite her up, I just want to say yesterday we had a community wellness collaborative meeting, and there was a representative from John Howard Society who was talking about some of the, because the center, the transitional units, and so that's going to be opening up hopefully this fall. talking about the programming that's going to be needed for these individuals, and the opportunity to bounce those ideas off of like-minded individuals from different not-for-profits or Prairie Mountain Health, the federal government, city council, city councilors, was incredible, the conversation we had. And you know, the Community Wellness Collaborative has now been around for a few years. The Poverty Committee is no longer. We are now, the 3 members from City Council who made up the Poverty Committee now belong on that Community Wellness Collaborative. And in just a short time, in just the 6 months I think that we've been doing this, I've seen game-changing conversations happen with the Community Wellness Collaborative. So I want to give them a big round of applause for the hard work that they're doing, making sure we're not working in silos. The last person I'm going to invite up is one of our unsung heroes in our community. She'll be the last person to ever tell you about the incredible work she does. But I've known Janice for a long time. When I used to work in Housing First, and I met her when she was a probation officer, and I was sitting there talking to her about an individual. I was like, oh my goodness, am I so glad people like you work in probations. And not long after, we were successful in bringing her on as the coordinator of the hub, the community mobilization, which she's going to talk a little about now. And last year, City Council ensured that position remained funded, and that Janice remained in that position, because there is nobody in this community that can do this job better than Janice Urban. So, come on up.
So anybody in the room that knows me knows that I am completely uncomfortable talking in public, so you'll have to bear with me. I always remind people that a shaky voice and red ears is what courage looks like in action. Before I start, I just wanted to mention something, and it's making me laugh because of our technological issue tonight, and I'm glad we got it fixed. Some of you may be aware that Minister Altmar passed away today, our Minister of Education. And I share this story because it made me laugh when this went down, because as a part of the Poverty Reduction Committee, I went to my first meeting at the Ledge, about as comfortable as I am right now. And I sat down with all these very important people, and they pulled out their tablets looking very official, and I pulled out my binder with my photocopied material and my 4-color Bic pen and wanted to die. And the Minister of Education looked over at me and winked, and he said, "Old school will never fail you." So I'm really, really grateful. Yeah. So I have been asked to come and speak about something that I'm very passionate about, and as we progressed with the speakers, I started hearing more and more words like relationships, connection, love, and I knew we were getting close to my turn to talk, because these are the things that are important to me. So I am here to talk to you tonight about community mobilization, and although we are focusing on downtown tonight, it's really important to remember that the work we do is for all of Brandon, and actually for all of Westman. So I am one of the lucky ones. As Chris mentioned, I spent most of my life working within systems. I was a probation officer for a long time, and I loved that work. I felt very passionate about it. And while I was with probation, I had the opportunity to join community mobilization when it came here in 2015. So I remember the day that Ian Grant brought this to Brandon, and we were in the Crocus High School, and he started talking about this initiative. And I know there's a lot of people in that room that were thinking, finally we have permission to work together. We are going to have a framework and a strategy that we can start communicating with each other and talking about things that really matter. A lot of us had been doing this quietly. Felt like when we called to check on people, we had to do it secretly to talk about wellness. So, what is community mobilization? So essentially, this is people coming together so that we can talk about things related to health and safety, crime prevention, and community development. I often liken it to when you yourself are worried about somebody within your own circle, and you start getting together with other people, and you say, "I'm worried about somebody. Yeah, I noticed that their driveway hasn't been shoveled. The kids haven't been going to school. They're not participating in this." So we get together and we share with each other, and then we start saying, what can we do? I'll bring a casserole, I'll shovel, I'll watch the kids, I'll do the dishes. We get together and we help. And it doesn't matter whose job it is, we just get together to help. So that is what we are doing with community mobilization. So what we do when we came together is Ian Grant asked agencies around the city to send to him their best and their brightest. And what this meant was that people that could collaborate, that could work heart first with their brains very close in tow, people that knew their policy of their agency very, very well, and were prepared to work at the edge of their mandate for the wellness of our community. And Brandon delivered, and we agreed that this was a initiative that we were ready to take on. I think we've got the wrong PowerPoint on it. That's okay. That's no worries. It should just say the state of downtown. So courage in action, that's what it is. So I'll give you a little bit of background while I trust my paper here. So as a bit of a background, former Chief of Police Ian Grant had developed a strategic plan for the police board at that time, 2014, with the goal of bringing community mobilization here to Brandon. He had spent some time out in Prince Albert and saw that the initiative was working there. Crime rates were going down. PA had got the initiative from Glasgow in Scotland, and they too had great success. So Chief Ian Grant at the time thought that we should bring it here. So we are an evidenced, I'll point out this picture. So Chief Balkin actually went to Scotland this year, and he came across the original hub, and he walked in and he was handed a loaf of bread and some milk and eggs. Yeah, so it's still in operation. Roots in Scotland, PA took on the initiative, and Brandon started in April 2015. So what are we? And we can move forward one slide. So we are an evidence-based model, which means that I could stand here all day and tell you lots of heartwarming stories about why this way works. But we all do have a fiscal responsibility to deliver strong outcomes. So we are a part of a national database that collects stats from all across Canada, all community mobilization initiatives. And we are risk-driven, and we focus on collaboration. A lot of people haven't heard of us, but I'm looking in the crowd and I can see a lot of very familiar faces. I see my hub family. So just for people who are a part of our hub table currently or sit on our steering committee, if I can just get you to raise your hand, I won't make you stand. But there's a lot of folks here, a lot of people here that work really, really hard. So we are currently 15 agencies with 20 representatives. We get together on Tuesdays and Thursdays at BPS, and our goal is to bring forward the names of individuals or families who we deem to be at acutely elevated risk. These are currently our partner agencies. The magic of Hub is the people that were sent from these agencies to represent them. The people that are chosen are people who can build trust, the people that can go into places other people might not, people that aren't afraid to ask the questions of what is really going on. Oftentimes when people are engaging with police, the last issue is actually criminality, and there's a whole bunch of root causes, which we heard some of the speakers talk about tonight. We are not an entity unto itself. We are here to be a model of what collaboration can look like in community. Although we have very important privacy legislation set up to protect people's privacy, it is not meant to get in the way of caring for people and providing supports and services. And what we know and what we act on is that addressing risk is always more important than those privacy piece. We have to get in front of people to help them before we lose them. I just want to make one comment here about this. Sadly, our RCMP is sitting still vacant, although we do have a lot of relationships built with RCMP. The reason that it's sitting vacant is, like I said before, the people that were chosen to come to this table were handpicked, and it's very important that we have people that are only going to move forward in a good way. And so I can tell you that we had an RCMP officer that was incredible. Annalise Day Thomas, if anyone knows her, she was incredible. She decided to go off to BC and leave us here, and we haven't been able to fill that spot in a good way yet. And it's really important to me, specifically as a Métis person, that we do no harm, no more further harm, especially when it comes to policing in our Indigenous communities. So until we have the right person, that spot will stay empty. So what kind of situations are brought to our table? Situations are judged or assessed on what we call acutely elevated risk, and there's 4 things that we look at. So when we come to the table and someone brings forward a situation, we always bring it forward in a de-identified way. So we're going to share the situation, the risk factors that are going on for this person, a little bit of background. And once our table agrees that it's acutely elevated risk, it's only at that point that we identify the person. So those 4 questions that I ask my table when a situation is brought forward is there clear probability of harm to the individual or to other people? So if we don't get in front of this, someone is going to get hurt. There's a significant intensity of harm. I can tell you as a probation officer, I had clients for a long time that were just inconvenient. But that's not who we send to Hub, because it's really important that we want to make change. So what we're looking for is something has happened, something has shifted in this person's life. Maybe for some reason their EIA was cut off. Maybe they just incurred a new charge. Maybe their children were apprehended. Something has happened, because when there's a shift in that risk, that's when there's an opportunity for us to make some changes. There's a significant community interest. So maybe these folks are engaging with police a lot. Maybe their children are involved in the child welfare system. Maybe businesses are being impacted by behaviors of some of these root causes. So the community has an invested interest in us addressing some of these risks. And the last question I ask is, is a multidisciplinary response needed? So is this more than just somebody not having a job, or more than just somebody not having an apartment? There needs to be more. And I can tell all the helpers at our table, they want to be everything, but they also know they can't be. They know that they have a wheelhouse, but we also build relationships with each other so that we can start reaching out and forming these partnerships. So once those questions have been asked, everybody can agree that this is a situation of acutely elevated risk. We name the person, first name, last name, birthday. Most people around the table have their databases available to them, so they're going to do a quick check. And they're going to check for recognition. Do I have history with this person? Does our agency have history? Are they currently involved with us? Or is there a service that I can provide or offer to them? At that point, we choose a team lead, choose our assisting folks, and the conversation ends. And that's where we're still respecting those people's privacy. Once our meeting's done, that little small group will meet off to the side, or they might bring a different service provider in. And that's when we're going to share a little bit more information. Right? Maybe talk about some things that got in the way of success for this person in the past. How do we get to know this person at a deeper level, having a relationship with them, so we can really address the risk factors and the root causes, because the behavior is never the issue. Once the team has done that little huddle, they've got their information shared, the next step is the door knock, and this is where I think the magic is. Pre-COVID, we were knocking on a lot of doors. We were going to people's homes. Post-COVID, we are meeting people in the EIA office. We're meeting people at Housing First. We're going to meet them where they're at. And all we're doing with that team is we're going to people and we are saying, I see you. And this is heavy. And you've been managing this for a long time, and we really want to help. I've got some friends with me, we've got some professional privilege, and we really want to walk with you. And I can tell you, when this initiative first came and they said, yeah, and then you walk to the door and you knock on the door. And I thought, if I'm struggling and I look out my window and I see a police officer and my welfare worker and my CFS worker, I'm probably not going to answer the door. And I was absolutely wrong. And I'm really grateful for that. And I was wrong because of the people we chose. So the people we chose can go to the door, and we have a very short window of time to create rapport. But I can tell you that every member of our team has that ability to go there and say, I see you, and I want to help you empty out your heavy rail backpack and connect you to some people that are going to help you not have to put it back in. And that's what we get busy doing. One of the things that we do for most of our calls when we do these hub door knocks is that we provide people with a little bit of food with the Help Us Samaritan House, because I feel like that's the breaking bread with people, sharing food with people and making sure that their basic needs. It's a really great way for us to start building relationship. And then each of the team is going to speak to that person about what their needs are, and they are going to work really hard to get them to that resource. And if addiction service is one of them, it's not handing them a card and telling them to go on a Tuesday for an intake or phone this number. It is, I'll take you there and I'll show you which door to go into and who you're going to see when you get there. Because for anybody that's done anything new, that's a really scary move, especially when you're struggling. So we make sure that we connect all of those dots. Once we do that, we come back to the table and we start to talk about what we did. How did we connect that person? How did we connect them to resources? And then we make a decision if we're going to extend it a little bit longer because we need some more time, or we're going to close it as informed. People have the right to take our information and say, thank you, I'll follow this up all on our own. Or we can close it as refused, because people have the right to say no. And what we have learned through our 9 years of working with Hub is that it's very, very scary when someone knocks on your door and says, I'm here to love you up. It's hard to take that in. It's hard to accept it. It's hard to trust it. So our team, if we have people saying to us, no, thank you, I'm not interested, we close that off in a really good way, and we make sure we say to them, come back to us if you change your mind. And I can tell you, after almost 10 years, lots of people phone in a couple of weeks saying, those people you came to my door with, do you think I could see them again? Right as COVID was started, we tried to launch phase 2 of community mobilization, which was a face-to-face, interpersonal part of our program, which during COVID was not going to fly, so it didn't get a lot of traction. When I had the opportunity to come over in 2022, we decided to relaunch it again. And the phase 2 or enhanced support is when we close folks off at the Hub table because we said they've now been connected to services. But our team says, you know what, if we don't get some coordinated case management around this, we're probably going to be back where we started. So this is where we move to a consent-based model where we say to that person, got some supports around you now. Would you like someone to walk with you in this team for the next year? Once that person gives us permission and I step in, I go and I speak with them, spend some time getting to know where do you want to be in the next year? Where do you want your family to be? Where do you want to be in this community? And then I ask them, who's your champions? Who's your cheerleaders? Who's the people that are going to give you a kick in the butt in a lovely way? Who are the people that are going to hug you up when you're not having a good day? Who is those service providers that are rooting for you? And then I go to each of them and I say, this person would like you to be on their support team. And for the next year, we wrap around that person and we walk with them as systems. And every time a goal is not met or there's a stumbling block, we figure out who needs the support. Because sometimes it's us, sometimes as agencies, we drop the ball and we make mistakes. And we are tired. And I can tell you, my team is exhausted. So we have to hold each other accountable. Hey, that might be a piece that I can do if you're not able to do that. Hey, I might be able to carry that for you if you're not able to right now. If it's the person themselves that doesn't have the motivation to get something done that month, we figure out how we can encourage them and how to help them walk forward. I say to people that come on the team, you might be their probation officer, you might be their EIA worker. When you come into that circle, your family, we need you to care about people differently. The Dakota people say, Mitakuye in all my relations. And that's what we do at Enhanced Supports. We wrap around people like family, and we figure out whatever it takes to get people to success and to wellness. That's what we're prepared to do. At about the 1 year mark, I'm supposed to back away. Sometimes I don't back out that quickly because it's very hard once we get attached and build relationships to people. We want to see them keep going and growing. But at the 1 year mark, I back out. The team kind of keeps going and they grow as they need to. And hopefully we see some success with them down the road. So it is working. I always laugh, that first sentence pre-COVID said, clients get instant access to a variety of options. So we had to change some of that wording post-COVID. And what we mean by that is some people are under the assumption that we have this apartment with lots of free space to live, or we have access to treatment beds, and we don't. But what we do have is professional privilege, and we're very prepared to use it. So if one of my teammates has to take somebody to the ER, we might talk to some of our PMH friends to say, what is the language I need to use when I go there to get really great service? How do I need to support my client in filling out this form so it doesn't get returned 6 times? How do I make this phone call? We're just really closing off those gaps so that people can get to the services they need in a quick way. One plan with multiple agencies is much more effective, so we can mitigate risk much more quickly. Increased collaboration. When I first came on, I thought the biggest problem we were going to have is a lack of resources. And although we do need support and more resources in this community, I don't think that's the first place we need to start. because there was relationships within amongst hub agencies that were broken because of mistrust, because of a lack of understanding of what we each do. So my biggest hurdle when I became a part of hub at this level was to start building those relationships with each other again, and starting to say to each other, I see you, your backpack is heavy. And how as agencies can we start working together? Because collaboration is not about walking side by side, it's about melding ourselves together and understanding that that person at the center of it is responsibility of all of us, just like each of you are the responsibility of all of us as a community. Once we started healing those relationships and we started understanding each other better, suddenly there was resources. And we were the ones that were in the way. So that's a really big part of our hub table, and a really big part of my responsibility is to really care about my hub folks, to really make sure that they're okay, to really make sure that the weight of their backpacks doesn't get to the point where they can't do this valuable work. Because I can tell you, when we're looking at downtown, if our human resources and our helpers go down, we're in a lot of trouble, because they are holding up a lot of stuff downtown for us. We are a problem-solving model. We don't care who owns the problem, we just want to solve it, and we just want to get to the bottom of it, to the root causes. I said before, we are data-driven. So since April of 2015, we've had, I just checked before I walked out the door, we had 1,014 discussions across our table. And out of those discussions, we've had 70% of them, we can very confidently say we've reduced the risk. Have we reduced it? I don't know if we've reduced it long-term, because some of these things are much bigger than us, and like many other cities, we're struggling with a lot of the same things. I'm going to share a really quick story before I wrap it up here, and I have permission to share this story. I was kind of hoping she was going to be here tonight. We had a mom come to our hub table who didn't have a home. I recognized her from my days with Bear Clan. She was pregnant, she was using, she was desperately unhappy. And she came to our table through Hub. We got her connected to some services right away. Someone posed the question to her, do you want to move to enhanced support and maybe work with a team? She said yes. I met her, we talked, we got some goals set. I start bringing her champions in. And the first thing the Child Welfare Agency said to me is, I'm really glad she's got all these supports, but this baby's never going to go home. And we all said, why? And I said, well, because she doesn't have a house, she's using, and hasn't had any access to her other children or any contact with her other children that are within the child welfare system as well. So taking that news, we still moved forward. We still supported Mom. We worked really hard at trying to find housing. We had the Pregnancy Support Center step up and provide her a unit. That team wrapped around her tight, listened to her, acted on the things she said. We did our jobs as agencies. That little girl turned 1 last July. She has, it's gonna make me choke up. She has never left her mother's care. She has hit every single developmental milestone. She is a happy baby. Her mother is now working on a reunification plan with her 2 children. And that mother did all of the work. We wrapped around her, but she did the work. And the part of that I love the most is that little girl's name is Truth. And the reason that's important is because that's a truth. We just got to wrap around her. They'll do the work. They'll do the work. And I share that story because the research says to us, and there was an old longitudinal study that said that if you follow a baby who's apprehended from their mother at birth and kept away from their birth family until they're 18, there's a really predictable trajectory. And it usually involves multiple systems. And when they did that study, the cost that it takes for a system to raise a child is $1 million. So what can we save if we just do what's right, which is building relationships with each other as professionals, bridging the business community with the people community and bringing this all together. I'm going to end on one note, and I'm going to tell you, a lot of people know my big sister here, Lisa Ramsey, and so I had a chat with her yesterday, and I said to her, whoa, I got to stand in front of all these people and talk about downtown. What do I do? What do I say about downtown? I want to be positive because there's amazing things going on. There's people giving their heart and soul to this work. And while change is happening and good things are coming, there's a lot of work ahead of us. That work is only going to happen within relationship with each other and tending to and loving our community. We have to have a really deep understanding of colonization and its ongoing impacts. We have to move past those beautiful moments we have at TR Week, and we have to carry that into the rest of the year. Because it was really easy for us to feel sad when the 215 babies were found, but a lot of folks survived, and a lot of them are our downtown community. So I want us to share the same empathy and hope and love and commitment to them. So my big sister said I got to quote Murray Sinclair. He spent his whole life building a plan, and he gave us a plan. He handed us a plan with the 94 calls to action. And towards the end of his life, when he wrote his book, he realized he maybe should have spent some more time, less time on reconciliation and more on truth. So I just want to leave with these last questions. These are really important questions he asked us to ask ourselves, and I think that work is important, but I think even more important as a city, we have to ask ourselves, where did we come from? Where are we going? Why are we here? And who are we? And when we can answer those questions to ourselves, we can start answering it as a community, and then I think that's where the real magic's going to help. So thank you for this opportunity, and I really appreciate it.
Great way to close. I want to open up the floor if anybody has any questions of myself or the presenters. Yes. There's one in the budget for Pacific Avenue this year, and it's part of our capital plan to have one in Princess, a renewed washroom in Princess Park, I think in the next 2 years. So the first one will be on Pacific. So we will have a 24/7 washroom available this summer. Yeah. Any other questions? I want to thank Councillor Tame for being here, Mayor Jeff Fawcett, who has, been in the shadows there, but is obviously an integral player in the work that we're doing. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all our presenters. Thank you to all of you for being here, for the work that you do, for the commitment you have to our community, for the downtown. And make no mistake, we have a long way to go, and the work will never end. The work will never end. But we have a lot of incredible people doing some incredible work in our community, and through these kinds of forums where we can share, the economic initiatives and the community-wide initiatives, the community initiatives supporting those that live and work downtown, residents that use our downtown. And our city administration and council needs to make sure that we're doing our part to ensure that it's flourishing. So hold us accountable during budget deliberations as well. Come out tomorrow night if you're passionate about the community. We have our city budget presentation, our pre-city budget presentation. I'm sure that'll be a rip-roaring event as well. But I just want to end, I also see members here, of our Brandon Bear Clan. And again, unsung heroes who are just doing incredible work every week, week in, week out, walking those streets for us. I do promise that as soon as I'm finished my stint on council, I'm going to join you. But Fridays are kind of important for our family. We do appreciate the work you're doing. Thursdays, sorry. Well, Thursday's Boo Pack, and it just. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I want to say the work isn't finished, and please be part of the solution. Please be willing to share your ideas and stay committed and stay passionate about our community, because we're on the right track. So, Miigwech for being here tonight. Thank you, and enjoy your evening.